Hello there. You're listening to Dull Dollars, the channel where personal finance stories unfold, ever so slowly, to gently lull you into rest. Tonight, as you lie back in bed, the lights dim, your body still, your breath soft and steady, we'll drift together into a story that's both ordinary and quietly revealing. It's the story of dining out. A little glimmer of luxury in a busy week. The clink of glasses. The soft hum of conversation. A menu filled with promise and plates arriving with flair. But somewhere beneath the candlelight and cloth napkins hides the slow drip of spending that often goes unnoticed. A burger here. A latte there. A dinner that seemed harmless, but may have quietly taken the place of something else, like an emergency fund, or the start of a down payment, or a bit of peace of mind for the future. We're not here to judge, not to scold, only to notice, like watching leaves drift across a quiet street, or the way your ceiling fan spins just a little slower at night. This is a bedtime story about numbers. About habits, about choices we make without really thinking, and what might happen if we did. You don't need to remember it all. Just let it settle in the background, like the hum of a distant train or the ticking of a soft clock. Welcome to Boring Finance for Sleep. And now we begin. Chapter 1. Chapter 1. A feast on paper plates. Picture this. It's evening. A quiet little restaurant. Soft lighting. Menus printed in cursive. A small candle flickering between two glasses of water. A couple sits down at a table. The waiter arrives, smiling. "Do you know what you'd like this evening?" "Yes," the woman says gently. "I'll have the down payment on a house, with a side of delayed emergency fund." The waiter nods politely, writing. "And for you, sir?" "I'm feeling hungry," the man says. "I'll go with our retirement savings. And why not? Let's add a bottle of our daughter's college tuition." "Excellent choices," says the waiter. "They pair well with the free breadsticks." It's a joke, of course, but not too far from reality. Dining out has become so normal that sometimes we forget we're trading real money for fleeting meals. The appetizer disappears in 5 bites. The entree in 10. The dessert is lovely, soft, sweet, and then the check arrives, silent, polite, like a whisper from the future. Somewhere far away a savings account could have grown. Somewhere a debt could have shrunk. But tonight, there is only the dim clink of plates being cleared, and the gentle lull of ambient music. This is not a cautionary tale. Not really. It's just a quiet observation about how often we trade long-term stability for short-term comfort, and how it never feels like a big decision when the lights are soft, and the waiter is kind, and the breadsticks are free. And so, the story begins. Chapter 2. When a nation eats out. There was a moment, not so long ago, when something quiet but remarkable happened. It was 2015. Nothing flashy. No headlines. Just a subtle shift, like a tide turning in the night. For the first time in recorded history, Americans spent more money at restaurants and bars than they did on groceries. Imagine that. An entire country choosing to dine out more than it cooked in. And not just on birthdays or anniversaries, but on regular days. Weeknights. Lunch breaks. Late mornings with lattes. Fridays with pizza. Sundays with bottomless brunch. The numbers told the story. Quietly. In receipts. In credit card statements. In tips left on glossy wooden tables. On average, a household in the United States now spends more than $3,000 a year just on food away from home. That's between 5 and 7% of their entire annual spending. And that figure continues to grow. Even as grocery prices stay steady, even as restaurant prices rise faster than inflation, we continue to eat out 4 times a week, 5 times, sometimes more. Not because we're careless, but because it has become normal, expected, part of life. Food has always been more than nutrition. It's comfort. It's ritual. It's connection. But somewhere along the way, for many of us, it also became a habit, a reflex. We sit down. We scan a menu. We order. We pay. And we do it again and again. And rarely do we stop to wonder what it all adds up to. But tonight, as you drift deeper into stillness, you'll begin to see not just the plates on the table, but the quiet patterns beneath them. Patterns we'll gently explore in the chapters to come. Chapter 3. The $12 pasta that costs $4. Let's imagine a dish. A simple one. A bowl of pasta. Soft, warm, maybe with a touch of cream and a sprinkle of herbs. It arrives at your table, steam rising gently, and on the menu it says $12. But if we took that dish apart, ingredient by ingredient, you might find something surprising. The pasta itself? Maybe 40 cents. The sauce? $1 or so. The garnish, the cheese, the drizzle of olive oil. Together, perhaps $3 or $4 in total. So why does it cost $12? Because you're not just paying for the food. You're paying for the table, the chairs, the plates, the lighting above you, and the music in the background. You're paying for the chef in the back and the server at your side. You're paying for the delivery trucks, the dishwashers, the tablecloths, the napkins, and the little bowl of mince by the door. You're paying not just for dinner, but for an entire operation, a whole performance just for you. And that's okay. That's how restaurants work. Most of them only survive because they charge 3 times more than the cost of the food itself. They have to. Otherwise, they couldn't exist. But it's easy to forget this when the food arrives hot and the service is kind, feels effortless, feels worth it. Still, the numbers remain. The meal you just enjoyed for $12 cost the restaurant $4, and you paid the difference, not just in money, but in opportunity, because every extra dollar spent at the table is a dollar that didn't go toward your goals, your plans, your quiet dreams that wait patiently while you enjoy dessert. It's not a bad trade, as long as it's a conscious one, but for many of us it isn't. It's routine, unquestioned, habitual, and so night after night, the $12 pasta becomes a silent drain. Just something to think about next time you stir your fork and sip your wine and wonder where all the money goes. But don't worry, we'll follow it, gently, patiently, in the next chapter. Chapter 4. Emotion versus expense. Why do we eat out so often? Is it because we're hungry? Sometimes yes, but more often it's something else. We eat out because we're tired, because we're overwhelmed, because we want to feel taken care of. After a long day at work, after the commute, the emails, the errands, the last thing many of us want is to stand in a kitchen, to chop, to stir, to scrub. A restaurant feels like a sigh of relief. Someone greets you. Someone cooks for you. Someone cleans up after you. You don't have to think. You don't have to plan. You just sit and receive. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's human. Because food isn't just fuel. It's comfort. It's reward. It's connection. It's the birthday dinner. The late night craving. The first date. The last minute escape. Sometimes the food is just an excuse. An excuse to not be alone. To not cook. To not feel the weight of the day. But here's the quiet truth. When we spend money emotionally, we often don't remember spending it at all. It vanishes. Like smoke from a candle. Like the echo of music after the door closes. And that's the risk. Not the occasional treat, but the unconscious pattern. When we don't stop to ask, why am I really here? What am I hoping to feel? Because if you're buying dinner to feel seen, or to feel relief, there might be other gentler ways to get that. Ways that don't quietly drain your savings bite by bite, week by week. But to see the habit, you first have to slow down. Which, lucky for you, is exactly what we're doing here. Together. Slowly. Gently. With eyes half closed, and hearts just slightly more aware. So let's keep going. Next up is a story. A simple one. About someone like you. And the many little meals that quietly shaped his year. We'll meet him in Chapter 5. Chapter 5, Jake and the $9,000 Habit. Let's meet someone. His name is Jake. Jake works in an office. He wears button-down shirts, most of them blue. He likes podcasts about space, and he always forgets to water his plants. He earns $75,000 a year. A respectable salary. Not extravagant, but steady. Enough to live on. Enough to dream with. But like many of us, Jake is busy. His mornings are short. His evenings are long. His calendar is full. And his fridge is not. So Jake eats out. Often. Let's take a quiet walk through Jake's week. On Monday, he stops at a coffee shop. He orders a latte and a croissant. It's a ritual. A warm moment before the meetings begin. At lunch, he goes to the food court near his office. A burrito maybe. Or noodles. Whatever the line is shortest for. Tuesday, same routine. Wednesday, he skips breakfast but grabs lunch again. Thursday, he does both. Coffee. Lunch. No time to think. No time to plan. On Friday, the office orders pizza. Jake pitches in. Because that's what everyone does. And in the evening, he meets a friend for dinner. A nice place. Good atmosphere. One drink becomes two. Appetizers arrive. Laughter. A shared dessert. A shared bill. On Saturday, he sleeps in. Orders brunch. Tips well. And on Sunday, he promises to cook at home. But the kitchen feels too quiet. So he doesn't. Now let's look at the numbers. Jake dines out 3 nights a week. Each dinner costs about $35. He gets coffee and breakfast 4 mornings a week. Lunch. 4 times. Give or take. Over the course of a year, Jake spends more than $9,000 on food and drinks prepared by someone else. That's over 12% of his total income. Gone in paper cups, pizza boxes, and folded napkins. Jake doesn't feel careless. He's not living lavishly. He's just living normally, doing what everyone else seems to do. But what he doesn't realize is that his meals are quietly costing him not just money but options. Because while Jake eats well, he also wonders why his savings account never grows. And he wonders if he'll ever afford a vacation or a home or a little peace of mind. But Jake isn't doing anything wrong. He's just doing what's easy. And that's where the story turns. Because in the next chapter we'll imagine what happens if Jake makes just a few gentle changes. Nothing extreme, just small shifts. And we'll see where that path could lead. Chapter 6. $4,420 from a frying pan. Let's go back to Jake. Same job, same apartment, same button-down shirts, still mostly blue. But this time, let's imagine something just a little different. This time, Jake decides to cook. Not every night, just twice a week, instead of dining out 3 times. He still meets friends for dinner on Fridays, still has pizza at the office, still buys the occasional takeout when the day gets away from him. But most evenings he eats at home. Maybe it's pasta with sauce from a jar. Maybe it's eggs and toast. Maybe it's leftovers from the night before. Simple. Nothing fancy, but satisfying. He also starts brewing coffee at home. He buys a little French press, a bag of beans. He toasts a bagel or peels a banana. No need to wait in line. No name written on a cup. Just peace. And a few extra minutes. At work he packs a lunch, a sandwich, a salad, maybe just some rice and vegetables in a container from last night. He doesn't do it perfectly. Sometimes he forgets. Sometimes he still buys lunch. But over the course of the year, those small choices begin to add up. By cutting his dining out dinners from 3 times to 1, by swapping out coffee shop visits for homemade brews, by bringing lunch more often than not, Jake saves about $4,420. $4,420. Just a number. But it's not a small one. That's enough for a vacation in Hawaii, or a new laptop and an emergency fund. It's 3 months' rent, or a small but sturdy used car. And that's only 1 year. 'Cause what happens if Jake keeps going? What happens if he takes that money and invests it? Not in anything risky, just a steady, simple account earning around 7% annually. After 10 years, Jake would have more than $65,000. After 20, nearly $200,000. All from the quiet choice to stay home for dinner, to slice his own vegetables, to brew his own coffee, to pack his own lunch. Didn't feel like much. Not at the time. But compound interest has a way of making small things grow. Slowly, silently, steadily, like a seed planted in a forgotten corner of the yard, watered only by rain, tended only by time, and someday a tree. In the next chapter, we'll explore how you can still enjoy dining out if you do it with intention. Because it's not about giving things up. It's about knowing what they're worth. Chapter 7. Dining out. Done differently. Let's be clear. We're not here to cancel joy. Eating out can be wonderful. Can be connection. It can be celebration. It can be a deep breath in the middle of a noisy week. The soft hum of a cafe. The clatter of plates. The sparkle of a well-poured drink. These things matter. They nourish more than just the body. So no, you don't have to give them up. But if you'd like to spend less, without feeling like you're missing out, there are gentle ways to do that. Let's explore them slowly. One idea is to share. Restaurant portions are often larger than one person needs. Splitting a main course with a friend can give you the same flavor with half the cost. And if you're there for the experience, not just the food, you won't mind having a few fewer bites. Another tip: skip the extras. The appetizer that sounded nice. The dessert that you were only half craving. The second drink you didn't really need. They add up. Quietly. Smoothly. Like sand slipping through your fingers. Try this instead. Enjoy the main dish. Then if you're still hungry, wait 10 minutes. Talk. Drink water. See if the craving stays. Often it doesn't. And if you do want dessert, consider walking to an ice cream shop afterward. It's usually cheaper. And the walk is good for digestion and the soul. There's also the matter of alcohol. Restaurants mark up drinks by a large margin, sometimes 300% or more. If you enjoy a glass with dinner, try choosing places that allow you to bring your own bottle. Many do. And a corkage fee is often much cheaper than buying wine off the menu. You can also make friends with discounts. Sign up for your favorite spots' email lists. Check for deals on Groupon. Use loyalty programs, but carefully, because rewards programs are designed to bring you back. And if you're not mindful, they may nudge you into spending more, not less. So use them only if they align with your plan, not the restaurants. And here's one more quiet idea. Set a budget, not just in numbers but in moments. Maybe decide that you'll eat out twice a week, or 4 times a month, or only on weekends. Give yourself permission, but add a boundary, not a fence, just a gentle line in the sand. That way, every time you go out, it feels special again, not just another Tuesday. Because the problem isn't the meal, it's the autopilot, the why not, the endless swipe of the card with no memory of the flavor. But when you choose with care, and you spend with intention, the same dinner feels richer, more satisfying, more meaningful. In the next chapter, we'll open the fridge quietly and talk about how cooking at home doesn't have to be complicated to be worth it. Chapter 8. It starts in the fridge. The fridge hums softly in the kitchen. Its quiet rhythm, almost like a lullaby. Inside, some vegetables, maybe a carton of eggs, leftovers from a day or two ago, a forgotten lemon. This is where it begins. Not in a fancy recipe book, not on a cooking show, not with a perfect kitchen or hours of spare time. It begins in the fridge, with what you already have. Because cooking at home doesn't have to be complicated, or beautiful, or even very good. Just has to be possible. Start small. A sandwich, a simple stir-fry, oatmeal with fruit, boiled pasta with a spoon of olive oil. If that sounds too much, there are helpers. You can stock your freezer with microwavable meals. They're not perfect, but they're cheaper than takeout and require no decisions after a long day. You can sign up for grocery delivery or a meal kit that sends you ingredients portioned and planned. Yes, they cost more than shopping yourself, but still less than eating out. And sometimes, convenience is the bridge that gets you started. Set aside an hour on Sunday, or whatever day feels quiet. Chop, boil, bake. Store a few meals in the fridge. Now your future self, tired and hungry on a Wednesday, has something to reach for. Use what's easy. Canned beans, frozen vegetables, pre-cooked rice. Things that ask very little of you but still fill a bowl. And if you're someone who finds comfort in structure, you can make a list. A short one. 5 meals you like. 5 ingredients you always use. Then just repeat. Cooking at home isn't about reinventing dinner every night. It's about having just enough routine to remove the friction. Because the biggest obstacle isn't the food. It's the feeling that you don't have the energy, but you don't need energy to heat up soup, or toast bread, or make a simple pot of rice. You only need a little kindness toward your future self, the one who won't have to swipe a card, won't have to wait in line, won't feel guilty about the receipt. Just open the fridge, breathe, and begin. In the next chapter, we'll explore what happens when food becomes about space, not just taste, and how the lunch break might be about more than lunch. Chapter 9. Space overspend sometimes. Lunch isn't really about lunch. It's about stepping outside, getting away from the screen, escaping the buzz of fluorescent lights and the soft hum of tasks that never end. You're not craving food. You're craving space. A break. A breath. A reason to move. And so, you walk to the cafe. Order something warm or sweet. Swipe your card without thinking. Sit by a window. Watch people pass by. And for 20 minutes you feel human again. There's nothing wrong with that. But what if the cafe isn't the only place that offers that feeling? What if the escape can come without the expense? You can take your packed lunch, the one in the quiet little container, and eat it on a park bench, or under a tree, or on the steps outside your building. You can walk a block, breathe slower, look up. The sun doesn't charge you. The breeze doesn't ask for tips. And your sandwich tastes just as good when you're free. Some people take their lunch to a museum courtyard, others to a rooftop, some just to a quiet stairwell with a view of the city. The point isn't the place. It's the pause, the reset, the space between before and after, between morning tension and afternoon noise. You don't have to eat at your desk, but you also don't have to pay for a chair and a table and a menu you didn't ask for. You can give yourself the gift of space without buying anything at all. This is true for dinner too. If you're tired of your kitchen, move the meal to your balcony, or your bedroom, or the floor with a blanket and soft music. Rituals don't have to be expensive to be meaningful. The act of stepping away isn't something you need to purchase, something you can create. And in doing so, you separate the emotional from the financial, the need for space from the habit of spending. In the final chapter, we'll return to a simple idea, a gentle habit that you can carry with you into any decision. 3 small questions that change how you spend. We'll ask them together in Chapter 10. Chapter 10. 3 questions before the bill. The meal is finished. The plates are cleared. The check arrives quietly. And in that still moment, before you reach for your wallet, before you sign your name, comes a small pause. A moment of reflection. A gentle space. Not for guilt, not for regret, just for noticing. Because every purchase is a choice, every choice a direction. And while not every dinner needs to be calculated, it can be helpful, every now and then, to ask yourself 3 soft questions. Questions without judgment, only curiosity. Question 1. How much am I spending on this? Not just tonight, but in total. Over weeks. Over months. What is the rhythm of my spending? And is it in tune with what I value? Question 2. What do I really get from this? Is it the food? The convenience? The atmosphere? The escape? Is it comfort? Connection? Or maybe just a break from the dishes? None of these answers are wrong, but knowing them helps you see clearly. And question 3. Can I get the same feeling for less money? Could I pack a lunch and still eat in the sunshine? Could I cook with a friend and still laugh over dinner? Could I light a candle at home and still feel peace? If the answer is yes, even just once in a while, you've opened a door. Quiet door. One that leads to choices, to freedom, to a future where your spending follows your values, not your habits. You won't always stop and ask, and that's okay. But when you do, you may find that your money starts to serve you instead of slipping quietly away. And that is a beautiful thing. So wherever you are, whether dining out or dining in, whether budgeting or just beginning, know that awareness is enough. Gentle steps are still steps. And with that, our story draws to a close. Thank you for joining us on this slow, quiet journey through the world of dinners and dollars and the delicate balance between them. Sleep well, spend gently, and remember, sometimes a sandwich in silence is worth more than steak with stress. Good night.